Mm-hmm.
This is Riggs. He's looking for Murtaugh. A little lethal weapon joke for you. This is his roadmap to success. He is doing something he's not really allowed to do. He's on the couch, but it looks better if I have a dog in the shot. So basically, I think we have a big want-to issue with Riggs. There are multiple times that I've talked about passive training and petting with a purpose with the Guardians, and he took our puppy classes. But the Guardian asked him sit, and he doesn't. Now, I have an indication of why he might, because she says sit, sit, sit. So if we get in a habit of just asking something over and over again, we don't ever follow through. After a while, that can confuse a dog into thinking that we belong to them versus the other way around. So I went over petting with a purpose and passive training. We covered it in our puppy class, but remember, petting with a purpose is if the dog is initiating contact, hey buddy, he's like, why is your hand broken? It's not giving me the treats. So if the dog initiates contact with you, nudges you or barks at you or demands attention, we're going to give the dog a counter order. Tell it to sit. When it sits, we're going to pet it under its chin and say the word sit and only the word sit. Now, he did not sit a lot. So if he doesn't sit after 3 seconds, find something else to do. Go back to watching TV. Don't scold him and don't chastise him. Just basically show him, look, if you do it my way, you get rewarded. If you don't do it my way, I got other things going on. Playing hard to get works wonderful with dogs. So basically, you're going to tell him to sit or do something, and if he does it, he gets rewarded. If he doesn't, no reward happens. Now, remember to use paycheck if you suspect someone's petting without a purpose, and that person has to stop petting, tells them to sit or whatever, and then we can tell the other person, I did it right. You just caught me at the wrong time. The dog stood up after you came in the room, but I did do it the right way. Don't argue. Just paycheck, I stop petting, tell the dog to sit, and then I explain it afterwards. Passive training is waiting for him to organically offer you the behavior on his own. So every time he comes to you, pet him and say, come. It's one of his issues. He doesn't come to his guardians very well. A lot of times, the only time we call our dog is the end of fun. They're yelling at a squirrel in the yard. We ask them to come inside. We close the door, and they can't yell anymore. They're like, I was having a great time. I listened to you, and now the fun is over. Next time, I'm just not going to listen. So now the dog comes to you on its own accord, and you pet it under its chin and say, sit, or you say, come. It sits next to you, pet it and say sit. It lays down, you pet it and say down. You name all its toys. We got a little Herbie Husker doll. He goes to his dog bed, call that Jamaica. Every time he takes a drink of water, just call it agua. Every time he takes a bite of food, I say grub, chow, feast, and lasagna. Each one of my dog has its own command word. So give him assign a command word for eat. And so the more that we reward him for the desired actions, behaviors, whether he offers them on his own, or we redirect him into offering those behaviors before we give him attention or affection, the more he is motivated to want to do that. And if we give him a command and he doesn't do it, we have to prove to him that we have other things going on and he missed the boat. After he missed the boat enough times, that's when he'll start getting on our page and sitting right away. Or for petting with a purpose, he'll start prepaying for the attention to come and sit ahead of time as a way of asking for a pet. Right now, he jumps up on people. And that means that people are petting him at least some of the time when he does it. So make sure that everybody, as soon as he jumps up on you, cross your arms, cross your chest, freeze and hold still. As soon as he gets down, ask him to do something else. So I used to tell people to pet him for getting down, but then they just jump right back up to get that reward. So as soon as he gets down on his own, because you're boring. Every time he jumps on you, you cross your arms and become boring. As soon as he jumps down, then tell him to sit or lay down. And when he does, pet him for sitting or laying down. After a while, he'll start offering those behaviors as well. Instead of coming and jumping up on you, I'll just go straight to the thing you're going to ask me to do anyways. I'll sit down. Now, we also talked about rules. It's really important that dogs have rules in a lot of situations. You can have a dog with no rules, but typically it creates problems because a lack of rules confuses a lot of dogs into thinking that they are your peer. If they see you as their peer, then listening to you becomes optional. So some of the rules we talked about, the Guardians really don't let them on the furniture. They do with an invitation at times, but I would recommend not doing that for the short period of time for at least 66 days or as long as these problems are still going on. I would get X mats for the two chairs that are near the front windows that he jumps up on when he's barking at people that come by. I would also get the film at Lowe's or Home Depot that put on just the bottom half of the door. We have a beautiful door. It lets in nice light. The Guardian likes leaving it open, but every time he sits there and he's on patrol, and he sees people come by and he barks at them. And then they leave. So he is under the impression that when my bark makes people leave when they were just passing it in front of our house anyways. So we put that film up there and maybe on the bottom of those two windows. Every time he goes there, he doesn't get validated. He doesn't get the reinforcement, and after a while, he get out of a habit of doing that. So the rules are a great way to help us demonstrate our leadership because the dog sees us acting like leaders. Leaders enforce boundaries and rules, and so that's a great way for us to do that. So not lying on the furniture at all for 66 days. And then eventually, if you do, it's with an invitation. It's a one-time exception. So he can't ever just jump on the couch. He has to get an invitation, but if he starts barking, he would have to get down. Or if he gets up and when he goes down to get a drink of water, when he comes back, he would need another invitation. And I do this with my dogs at night. I have 2 dogs that like to sleep with me. And one of them I have to put on the bed. He's older. Second dog, I invite him up. If he doesn't come up within 3 seconds and he comes up 10 seconds later, I reject him. The invitation is rescinded. You come when I want you to, or it's gone. But otherwise, the dog's like, come when I feel like it. There's no difference. Well, show him there is a difference. If you don't come when you're supposed to, then the privilege is revoked. So other rules, make him sit before you let him in or out of the door. Go to the door, tell him to sit once. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, walk away and sit down somewhere nearby. Wait for him. Hey, buddy. Yes, I know you want to get down. I'll tell her he wants more bully sticks. So we walk away and we sit down nearby. Sitting is more of a permanent, so not permanent, but standing looks temporary. Sitting is like, oh, he might be here for a while. So we sit down and have a magazine or a newspaper or something like that and go through it. And then after 1 minute, go back to the door and command him to sit again only one time. If he doesn't sit this time, I'll walk away for 2 minutes. Next time, I'll walk away for 4 minutes. I keep doubling the length of time. But as soon as I go to the door and say sit, and he sits, I fly that door open so fast he thinks I got a remote control in my butt. And after a while, he'll go sit at the door as his way of indicating he'd like to go outside. Also, he shouldn't be, and do it eventually with both directions in a doorway that you get to. I also, on walks, I would recommend you make him sit every time you get to a corner. And a lot of times for walks, what I'll do is I show the guardian how to keep him to be calm on the leash. If you can't remember all the details of that, if you go to my website, click on dog training tips, and on the right side of the page, there's a search box, type in calm leash, and a video with a little, I think it's Jack Russell that I did in California will come up, and it goes through the whole process and shows it. I think you remember all the bits of it, but just in case you're a refresher. I also have videos for petting with a purpose, passive training, enforcing rules, structured feeding, sit at the door, wait at the door. So there's a lot of stuff on there. So you can search for all those as you want to. So basically, the door, eventually he'll sit there is a way of saying, I'd like to go outside. Now, also, he shouldn't be allowed in the kitchen when we're preparing food, within 7 feet of anybody who's eating, or like around the dining room table or around the work island, or if somebody's having a snack here. So if somebody's having a snack here, maybe he shouldn't be allowed in this area right in front of the couch or the little wings on either side. About 7 feet is what we're looking for. Remember, for the kitchen and for the dining room and other areas, we can do a warm-up session. Microwave a piece of roast beef or ham or bacon or something like that. And then what I typically do, I make him leave the kitchen first and walk backwards into the kitchen. So remember, your authority goes whatever direction your hips are pointing. So take 1 step backward, left foot, right foot, and pause. If he's moving around, wait for him to stop moving, then take another 2 steps backwards while your belly button is pointed towards the dog. And if you take a step backward and he starts coming forward, you hiss and rush forward right away and stop enforcing where the line is. So back and forth, he'll feel like a waltz, and after a while, he'll sit or lie down behind the boundary. At that point, you microwave a piece of bacon, and when he smells it, he's going to try to come in. So you march towards him and again enforce that invisible boundary. Also a video you can search for, just search for invisible, and a bunch of these will come up. And eventually when we pull the bacon out of the microwave, we put it down, he's staying behind the line, and then we basically watch him very surreptitiously out of the corner of our eye, and we grab our ingredients of what we're going to cook, and we simulate cooking. We open the oven, we turn the stove on, we bang some pots and pats around, grab stuff out of the fridge. It sure looks and smells like you're cooking, but man, as soon as I cross that line, she's on me like white on rice. Remember, you only have 3 seconds to correct or reward the dog for them to have the ability to make the connection, but it has to be repeated over and over consistently. Inconsistency is very frustrating and confusing for dogs. Remember, breaking a rule is not a reward. It's confusing. So eventually he'll sit or lie down, and then you can actually start your real cooking. Do the same thing with me eating at the work island or at the dinner table. Microwave another piece of bacon, sit in your normal spots, cut it up in pieces and put it on people's plates. And as soon as you cross that threshold, whoever's in charge runs over there and rushes towards them using that 3rd escalating consequence. Remember the 4 escalating consequences I went over? I'm not going to go over here. You can also search for those on dogdownproblems.com. But it's hiss, stand, march, leash. I'll just give you the brass tacks of those. Remember to always start with your hiss. Match his intensity of your hiss with his energy level. Yes, I'm talking about disagreeing with you. And then go to the next step as needed. And don't be afraid to do those. Remember, enforcing the rule is not being mean. It's consistent. It helps him learn. Yes, you have to stay here. Now, when you have guests come over, have them ignore him. But when he comes over towards them, he's a little bit nervous. So have them, when they want to pet him, have them reach halfway towards him and stop. And that's what you want him to do, is you want him to take the other half. And if he turns his head away or backs away, that's his way of saying, I don't feel comfortable with you petting me. The more that he communicates that people and they listen to him, the more confident he will be. And then he feels like, I am empowered to say, I don't want you to pet me, and they listen to me. So let me think, what else? Also, make sure you stop anything that you're doing the instant he starts getting excited. Remember, excited is not the same thing as happy. Happy is an unbalanced state of mind. Last thing I want a surgeon to do when he's going to cut me open is be excited. I want him to be calm. So if you're petting him and he starts getting excited, stop petting him. If you're preparing his food, stop preparing his food. If we're playing fetch and he gets too worked up, stop. Make him sit. That'd be another thing, because he likes to sit or likes to play fetch. So I'd probably do that every time he brings you back the ball, make him drop. Now the guardian, he doesn't drop because, like a lot of people, the guardian's been taking the ball from his mouth because he doesn't drop it, and then he's learned that by keeping the ball, I have their attention. Yes, I have his asleep. So basically, go next time he has something in his mouth, pull out a treat very quietly, go over to him, and you might have to literally touch his nose, but just hold it right here in front of him. Don't try to take it with the object in his mouth. Wait for him to drop it. When he drops it, don't move at all. Don't show any interest in the item. Immediately pop the treat in his mouth, say the word drop, and only the word drop, and then walk away. Prove to him that you're not trying to steal his stuff. And after a while, you do that enough, you say drop it, he'll just spit whatever it is out at you. Now, it's important we start this with what we call low-value items, Herbie, things he's allowed to have it at all times. If it's a bully stick or a Himalayan chew or something he's not allowed to have, he's not going to be inclined to want to give that up quite so easily. So we're going to start shaping the behavior with the easiest version possible, and then work our way up to it. Now, if he does take something that he's not allowed to have, you should have some bully sticks or something of very high value that when you do take the item away, you replace it with something else. Now, he's got a lot of stuff, and I gave him a bully stick, and he basically just put it left on the floor. So maybe something that's a little higher value than that, whatever it is. But you just need to make sure the dog really, marrow bones, you can keep those in the freezer. And so you take one of those out, just rinse it real quick, rinse the hard frost off of it. And now it'll smell a little bit funky if you let it defrost. So maybe that's something you give it to him right away, or keep him on the leash, or give it to him outside or something like that. Just let him lick it a couple times and lead him outside and give it to him outside. That way it doesn't make your carpet all nasty. And also when he has the marrow bone, make sure that he'll only get a little bit of like a concave, get like the 1-inch marrow bones, don't get them too big. Otherwise he can't get the marrow out. And then when they get to that point where they've gotten to give up on it, I kind of take a pen and push it through on the other side so they can eat that marrow. Now the marrow is very rich, so be careful. Some dogs it gives them diarrhea. If he ever gets diarrhea, canned pumpkin, like you make pumpkin pie out of, will help firm up his stool. I always have 2 cans at my fridge on my cupboard at all time, because you will need, when you need it, you don't have to go to the store to get it. Let me think, what else? Exercise. He really needs more exercise. He's not super high energy, but he's got some energy. And his guardians walk him when they can, but walking is not ideal because he's in front and all over the place, and it's not a very efficient way of exercising. So I'm hoping that we're going to have Megan come back and do a little training with him and teach him to walk with a loose leash. Remember, the leashing process will keep him calmer. But basically, for the exercise, the eye fetch. Getting an eye fetch and teaching him to play fetch with himself in the house will work wonders. Going to the stairs, show him that you have a treat, toss it to the bottom of the stairs. When he runs down there and licks it up, come up with a word that means go down south. Call it Mexico. Then call him back up and call that one Canada, or whatever you want to say. So remember, every time the treat goes in the mouth first, and then he hears the command word after. And so after a while, you should count each down up as 1. And the first time you do it, remember, max him out with all these things with an empty stomach and figure out what his maximum number of fetches or up downs on the stairs or whatever it is. And then we want to exercise in 50 to 75% of it. We keep that exercise journal for up to a month, writing a new page for every day where we write down the time, how many up downs the stairs, how many fetches, the time, and when he got in trouble and what was going on. There was a weed eater being done. There was construction. There were kids crying. Sometimes those other contributing factors can be the reason why the dog reacted. So if we start journaling that and start keeping it, we start recognizing every time he gets in trouble, it's when it's over 4 hours since he's been exercised, or it's when this happens, just this thing happens at a certain time every day. Well, before that thing happens every day, let's get him some exercise. Before we have guests come over, we can exercise him before that and set him up for success. Just make sure he has at least 10 minutes to recover before the guest comes in, so he's nice and relaxed. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we talked about you want me to go over?
Yeah, you talked about putting him on the leash, having him sit, so we got that.
Make sure you guys are eating first. Structured feeding, I guess.
Yeah.
So make sure you are putting his food down. He's not allowed to eat it. Then you eat something in 5 or more bites. Then invite him to come and eat. Come up with your favorite restaurant or favorite dish and call it sushi or primavera or whatever whatever word you want. Every time he takes his first bite of food for about 3 months, be able to say primavera, and he goes over and eats. And remember, if he doesn't eat, which he won't probably for the first day or two, we're almost done. Hang in there, buddy. As soon as he walks, so you eat something first with there's food in his bowl, and he's not interested because he thinks it's gonna be there forever. And after a while, that will change. You'll have to lock it. Hold on a second, and then basically go over, tap his bowl, call his name, and then when he takes his first bite of food, you say the primavera or whatever the word is. But probably he's going to probably come over and look at it and be like, yeah, I see there's food there. There's always food there, and walk away. As soon as he walks 7 paces away, pick up the bowl, dump it empty, but importantly, put the empty bowl back down. I want him to recognize the bowl is empty. And we don't try to feed him again until the next meal. So I'd recommend try to feed him 2 or 3 times a day if you can swing it. And then if he doesn't eat, pull it and have no guilt about it because you're giving an opportunity. He's choosing not to. I want you to think about the same thing as like if you fed your daughter or something and she said, I want pizza rolls. Well, that's not, you can eat the meatloaf or you can go to bed hungry is kind of what my mom would tell me. So if you start saying, okay, I'll make you pizza rolls, well, now kitchen is open. Well, I want a sundae, I want waffles, and you're going to be making all sorts of crazy stuff. So sometimes we do those things when we want to be nice, but if a child's throwing a temper tantrum, we definitely don't give them what they want. He's not going to be throwing a temper tantrum, but he's going to try to hold out and see, are you going to blink or am I going to blink? You want me to eat, you're going to cave first. No, I'm not. Show them through your actions you're not going to. Yes. And also, one last thing, I want the guardians to use watchwords for paycheck, means you're petting without a purpose. Testify means you're missing an opportunity to reward the dog. I'd also like to introduce another one, rerun or repeat. So if the guardian catches the other guardian say the word multiple times, rerun and we stop and we walk away. Remember, the more you say it, the less you mean it. So if we repeat the word over and over again, he's just like, yeah, I'll do it the 19th time she asks me. And like I said, when he does that chortle singing thing, call it chorus or argument or, debate, and then so you say debate and pet him. Well, after a while you can say debate and to your guest. That's pretty funny. Yes, debate. Want to debate? It's like, you better let me down. So basically, and then come up with a list of the official command words to make sure you're only using the official command word instead of come here, come here, over here boy. It's hard for dogs when we have a whole bunch of words. All right, since I have Mr. Ants in my pants, Ants in his pants, Ants in his fur, we're going to wrap this one up. This is Riggs, and this is Riggs' Roadmap to Success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it. Right, buddy?